So not that long ago, a company reached out to me called Temu, and you've probably heard of them before if you're, watching a lot of YouTube videos. Calling them the scummiest company in the world is a bit of a stretch if you ask me. They ended up sending me a Joyo pedal, which was really great. I didn't end up continuing a partnership with Temu in the long run, but I did get this sick pedal from them. And initially I didn't really like it, or rather a better way of putting it is that I didn't feel like it was anything special. But I've since been playing around with it a lot more, and I found, a lot of things that I like about it. So the reason why I say everybody likes it is because it actually sells quite a bit on my Amazon store. Not enough to make me rich or nothing, unfortunately, but it does, people buy it quite a lot. And initially I didn't really get that. Don't get me wrong or nothing, it's not like I disliked it, but just nothing about it really struck me as being very different. And ultimately I've been kind of wondering what it is about this thing that people like. But I do have an idea of one reason why people may like it, and I know this is one reason why I think it's really cool. So one of the first things I noticed about this pedal when I plugged it in is just how cool the LED light is on it. As you can see, it's on some kind of Star Wars lightsaber kind of shit. And what's cool about it is that unlike the MXR ISO brick where it's often too bright and you can't adjust it. So as you can see here, this is the MXR ISO brick. It's extremely bright. You can actually adjust this one just fine with this little switch on the back. You got 3 switches on the back. You've got sync, always, and off. If you have it selected to always, that's gonna mean that it's always on, right? But if you set it to sync, what that will do is it will actually synchronize with the effect that you have currently turned on. So in other words, if I flip that switch up to sync with my finger there, if I can get it there, yeah, there we go. And then I set it to, let's say, echo verb, it will actually go along with the echo verb. Now, personally, I don't like it like that. That's probably gonna give me a seizure, so I just like to have it at always. I think that's the best way of going about it. But ultimately, I think that could be one of the reasons why people like this thing so much. I know that's why I like it. And now that I think about it, someone on one of my other old videos, they were commenting about the Joyo Atmosphere, and they said that the reason why they liked it is because the customizable blue LED light, it allows them to adjust it to their liking for their pedal board. And that makes a lot of sense to me because I imagine that if you were gonna use some other kind of blue LED light system, for instance, if you're gonna use something like the Philips Hue brand, it's quite expensive to have LED lights on your board or whatever and be able to control them. So rather than spending a bunch of money on that, you can have just the Joyo Atmosphere that functions as a reverb pedal, and you can adjust it in a few key ways, and then you're pretty much good to go. Another thing that's kind of cute about this pedal is that a lot of the words on the back, it's almost in good English. It's just not quite there. So for instance, it'll say something like, it feels like have a sunbath in the forest. Then it's it feels like you're rewinding the tape. And there's a big space between the R and the apostrophe. It feels like the shimmer in a dream. It's like the English is good, you get the idea, but it's just not quite there. It just feels slightly off. There's something kind of charming about that to me. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Departed. It's with Jack Nicholson, directed by Martin Scorsese. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, it's got all those people in it. Anyway, it's a great movie, but there's a scene in it where Jack Nicholson's character, he says, he's quoting John Lennon, and he says that, I'm a fucking artist. If you give me a tuba, I can make something out of it. And I feel at the end of the day, that's the whole purpose for gear for me anyway, is to be able to make shit with it. If it motivates me to make things, then it's a win. comment section of one of my other videos, the video for the Orange 35 RT, a guy mentioned that he liked the reverb, the onboard spring reverb in the guitar amp. And I agreed with him. I thought, to me, it sounded like the guitar amp reverb. It had like more of an organic sound to it. So I decided to do a test between the Atmosphere reverb, the 35 RT reverb, and then the Hall of Fame 2 reverb as well, just while I'm at it. So after comparing and contrasting all those reverb types, I realized that me and that other guy, I'm not so sure we were correct. And it's funny that if you recall the comment that what that other dude was saying in the comment, I feel like the person was kind of casting doubt on the fact that like we were discussing something real. The one person had said like, what does that even mean? And when I go back and I listen to those amp reverbs now, I realize that I actually like the 2 guitar pedal reverbs like infinitely more than the Orange reverb. The Orange reverb, it's like there's like no modulation to it, there's no flutter, and there's no ability to control the decay or anything like that either. So I think the idea that the Orange 35 RT's reverb is better than the other 2 is something that I don't agree with at all now when I compare and contrast the 2. Additionally, I want to point out that I actually had to increase the volume of the Joyo Atmosphere in post-production because the volume was just a lot quieter. And I'm not too sure why. The settings on both pedals are pretty much the same. But for whatever reason, the volume outputted from the Joyo Atmosphere is just a wee bit quieter than the Hall of Fame 2. When it's all said and done, I stand behind my assertion that people are rushing out to buy the Atmosphere more than maybe some other reverb pedals for 2 reasons. One being the cool LED light on it that's controllable. And the second one being just the cost. Like in terms of like what it costs and what it can do, I feel like the value is definitely there. That being said, when I'm done this video, I'm gonna go back to using the Hall of Fame 2, and for a number of reasons. One is that it's got stereo outputs, and the 2 is that it's got analog drive-through and some other cool features like that. So I do prefer the Hall of Fame 2, but it's also way more expensive, right? By the way, if you're looking for something to practice, make sure you grab my cheat sheet from my website at travelingguitarist.com/fretboard cheat sheet. Triads are great for understanding chords, for understanding harmony, and for also identifying the notes of the fretboard as well. It's been a very useful thing for me to practice on a daily basis, especially if you want to break out of like the pentatonic box. But anyway, I'm curious to know what you think of the experiment here. I'm curious to know what you think of the LED lights and all of that, and what you think maybe the reasons are for why people are getting this pedal over some of the others. And also let me know what like your favorite reverb pedal is too, because I'm always open to, trying new stuff out.